Hello, Miss Karamjeet. I'm Xuan. Today I'm going to bring your attention to a current issue that might turn into crisis and affect certain organizations and its stakeholders. So the issue that I want to discuss about is the talking point of year 2020, which is COVID-19. COVID-19 is also known as coronavirus disease that is identified and named after the outbreak of pneumonia with unknown causes in Wuhan, China since 12th of December 2019. And due to the Chinese New Year population flow, the disease has gone viral in China and slowly become pandemic around the world. Unfortunately, Malaysia didn't manage to escape from the pandemic, and the first case of COVID-19 was discovered in Malaysia on 25th of January in 2020. Prime Minister of Malaysia, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, has announced Movement Control Order (MCO) since the 18th of March 2020 to control the disease from spreading after noticing that there was a sudden spike of COVID cases in Malaysia. The reason why COVID has the potential to turn into crisis is due to the one of the SOP in the MCO, which is the border control. Border control actually restrict interstate travel from March to June and also restrict international traveling from June to August, and the latest update will be on the extension of RMCO will extend until December, and the SOP will still continue until the December. COVID-19 has then actually greatly impacted the airline industry, and the organization that I want to discuss about is the MAS Airline. Malaysia Airline Berhad, also known as MAS, is the national flag carrier of Malaysia, and it operates scheduled domestic and international flight to integrate the nation and also connect Malaysia to the world. Due to COVID-19, MAS has actually suffered from financial loss due to the pandemic. This is because border restriction has actually been implemented among the countries, which mean international traveling among the Malaysia and other countries has actually been barred. And even interstate travel is now available, is now allowed, but most of the Malaysian worry getting infection of the coronavirus disease, and there is actually a weaker market demand during the RMCO phase. And in April, MAS has actually scaled down and cancelled more than 2,000 flights. According to IATA, International Airport Transport Association, Malaysia airline industry has actually decreased about 39% demands, which involve around 25.5 millions of passengers. An article published from the Edge Market has actually revealed that MAS financial profit has deteriorated up to 94%. Other than financial loss, MAS has also suffered from reputation crisis, where early in May, MAS warned that the passenger might have to pay over 50% more for the airfare if social distancing is imposed. This is because the capacity has decreases for each flight, and their profit might be decreased also. In June, MAS has also agreed with the statement made by IATA that the airfare should spike up to 54% when social distancing is imposed on board. And lastly, the flight ticket has actually increased in price due to the low capacity for most of the flight. And according to Ismail Sabri, our senior minister of security, mentioned that the price of air ticket from KL to Mili can cost up to 2,000 ringgit in June. And then thus, the government has actually made statement to warn the airline to set a reasonable price for the travelers so as not to burden them during this difficult time. Except for other than affecting MAS as a whole organization, COVID-19 has actually impacted the stakeholders of MAS, which is the airline employees. Airline employees has actually suffered from pay cut and unpaid leave in response with the COVID pandemic. MAG revealed that there is actually 10% reduction in the senior manager salary, including the allowance starting from April. And also, starting from April, the Malaysia airline has actually requested its employee to take 3 months no pay leave or 5 days no pay leave per month for at least 3 months starting from April. And even the flight is resumed now, the flight cut due to COVID-19 will automatically decrease their flight hour that might generate them extra income. So which means maximally they will only get the basic salary instead of their normal salary. From the article published by the Malaysia Resources, there is one NAB staff members who just want to be known as SK revealed that the situation is very bad and has impacted them financially and emotionally. Due to COVID-19, the airline employee also have to suffer from stressing work loss. This is because the cabin crew duty has actually increased in order to strictly adapt to the SOP implemented by the Ministry of Health. MAS has actually further enhanced the cleaning procedure, include the regular sanitization and disinfection. For example, the cabin crew has to wipe all the frequently touched surface before each flight to reduce the risk of transmission of disease. Cabin crew has also ensured all the tasks to be accomplished within the expected time, which is within 10 minutes. However, 25 minutes turnaround time is already very unrealistic, but they have to complete their task within 10 minutes to avoid the disciplinary action and also retrenchment. Besides that, they also have to face their fears at the same time dealing with the increased anxiety from the passengers, which put them under the stressing environment. Other than airline employee, the stakeholder of MAS that are affected by the COVID-19 is the airline customer. Airline customer has to adapt to the last-minute cancellation and back detail from airline company due to the restriction or border control. And they found that there are actually difficulty in contacting the customer service via phone or emails. And here's the example that I found in the discussion forum from online. And they also need to concern about whether there is the cash refund or voucher that is available for future flight if the flight is cancelled due to involuntary reasons. Like the customer also has to concern about if they cancel the flight due to voluntary reason, like for example worry of getting infection, they will need to pay cancellation fee and also the administration fee if the cancellation is done offline platform. The customer was also exposed to the infection, and according to WHO, contact with an infected person is actually considered sitting within 2 rows of them. So it is actually quite impossible to maintain social distancing on board, according to the airline for Europe, because most of the airline only close up the middle seat to save cost as much as possible, and it is not possible for flight crew to maintain a 2 meter while operating the plane safely. Malaysia Airlines even welcomes the removal of in-flight social distancing announced by Malaysia Ministry of Transport, which means that the social distancing rules are no longer mandatory for those who already passed the security check and queuing at the boarding gate. And the last stakeholder that is affected by the COVID-19 will be the Airbus. Airbus has actually suffered from financial loss, where they have suffered from a loss of 1.9 billion of euro in the first half of years due to the pandemic, and they also suffer from like 4.4 billions of euro of the cash outflow from in the second quarter, and the commercial aircraft business activity has actually dropped up to 40% due to the pandemic. COVID-19 has actually impacted Malaysia Airlines greatly, and also its stakeholders, the employees, the customer, and also the Airbus. So the impact is very clear, and action needs to be taken in order to control the COVID issue from turning into crisis. And here are the references that I used for my study, and that's all for my sharing. Thank you.